Hello out there, all you lovely people on the internet. It's me, that gaming nerd John, and we're once again making our way through 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, continuing our path through the second area of the destruction portion of the game. So today's episode is going to have kind of the midpoint of Area 2. So we're going to have kind of that mid-boss fight that they have set up for each of the different areas. So we'll be introduced to a new enemy type, which is both challenging, frustrating, and interesting, both in terms of just its gameplay implications and also in terms of plot implications. So look forward to that, and then we'll just keep making our way towards that final mission for this particular area. So hope you're looking forward to that. Looking forward to having a conversation throughout the episode. This particular one will be slightly more challenging because Wave 5 does have a lot of interruptions of dialogue, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to be introduced to the Sentinel Gladiator Kaiju. It's the last enemy type to be introduced in the game, and it's a doozy. So also in tandem with that, they throw in the fact that we'll need Goto and can only have 4 strike members, so let's just throw all the things that make life challenging at us at once. So we'll talk more about it once we actually get into the mission, but for now, let's take a look at the plot.
Daimo signatures. Look there.
Warning. Daimo signatures approaching. Preparing to intercept. Initiating tactical analysis.
Are those Sentinels? Are they on our side? They look like first-gen models, but they're giving off Daimo signatures.
Most likely, they're the first-generation units we lost in the battle at Sector 2.
So they were seized and repurposed?
Repurposed? Well, it may be more accurate to say they were reset. When we attempted to deploy automated Sentinels, they behaved as if they were Daimos. During the battle at Sector 2, Units 1 to 11 were being remotely controlled by me.
You piloted 11 units by yourself? At the same time?
It wasn't efficient, and the D-forces were clearly influencing their processes and abilities.
And that's why we directly control them now. Too many problems with automation.
I thought they were destroyed in that battle. I don't know if it's that simple. Juro, what do you mean by that? Look, they're coming. They seem like pretty heavy units. And they've even got the composite ceramic armor.
So they're close quarters Daimo's frontliners now. If we don't shut them down, the terminal won't last.
So yeah, the gladiators will basically nullify anything that's less than 300 damage. So all of these various armor-piercing attacks that we've been using, anything like Demolisher Blade or Multi-Lock Missile or any of those abilities that hit a whole lot of times but not for heavy damage, are very ineffective against the gladiators. That's what presents one of the biggest challenges for them. They also have just a wider capability of attacks, so they will jump like the first-gen models. They'll use their own version of leap attack, which means that they can sometimes avoid attacks, which is kind of annoying. Like, for instance, right there, one of them just jumped up. You could just kind of barely take note, but as long as you're using an ability that actually can hit both ground and air, it will hit both of them. So they're just really beefier units. They have greater attack capabilities than most of the standard units in the game. So it's just, yeah, so like, for example, boom, there we go. Confirmed termination of Gladiator Kaiju signature.
Always think ahead.
This isn't so hard.
And yeah, just making sure to have those heavier damaging options available, because anything that's just a small amount of damage is not going to help. Interceptors are actually incredibly ineffective against them, literally useless. So the Gen 4s, confirm termination.
There's only 5 enemy Sentinels left.
Warning, Dymo signatures approaching. Enemy in range. Preparing to intercept. Initiating tactical analysis.
We can't afford to hold anything back. Don't try to take them down by yourself. Stay in close formation and rely on your allies.
Yeah, so the Gen 4s sadly get kind of a bit of a hit there on their effectiveness, and they just keep throwing awesome enemies at us. So you've got like modified Apsos units for the shield units over there. That's thrilling. One thing that can be an absolute nightmare is one of those Apsos units pulling off one of their shields onto the Gladiators. That is pretty much the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in this mission. So definitely target them with extreme prejudice. Rush attack is actually pretty good because it's enough damage to get through their shield that they have.
Confirmed termination of Gladiator Dymo signature.
4 to go.
Yeah, so Shinonome is going to be keeping count for us here, and that's what's going to kind of interfere with my ability to have very detailed commentary. But the same kind of general notion still holds. Large numbers, fewer hits, better than like having those smaller numbers with multiple hits here. Very important to have that. So just making sure to examine your abilities, like Demolisher Blade, useless here, but Rush Attack, quite good. Very helpful, both in clearing out those enemies, but also attacking the Gladiator enemy types. Leap Attack, not bad. Not ideal, but not bad.
Warning, Dymo signatures approaching. Enemy in range.
Looks like we have 3 more on the way.
Oh, but we won't have them for long, because one of them's about to die very, very soon.
Confirmed termination of Gladiator Dymo signature.
Just 3 more. Don't let your guard down.
That's why we have convergent lasers. Don't leave home without it, kids. Very good ability against them. It's ranged, and it also just has massive firepower, so it's extraordinarily useful here versus your usual tactics with the Gen 3 models. Turrets, still good. They will actually be able to have their damage be meaningful here. It's not going to get negated by the Gladiator defensive shielding that they have. Yeah, drum mines, that's also not good. G-molars, also not good. But, yeah, that's definitely a good option there. Demolisher Blade, since none of them are Gladiators, still okay.
Warning, Dymo signatures approaching. Enemy in range.
That should be all of them. Everyone, keep at it.
We get our opening salvo from those sentry guns, helping to take out some of those Apsos turrets as well. Super handy. Yeah, like I was mentioning before, you definitely don't want them to get shielded. That is the worst thing that could happen.
Good.
Confirmed termination of Gladiator Dymo signature.
2 left. Almost there.
That's the other thing to keep in mind. So, like, you only have to take out the Gladiators. If you find a way to just crowd control the rest of the enemies in this particular encounter, then by all means, do so. Yes, you will have to trigger their appearance, so like I had to take out those guys in the middle, but after that, it spawned the rest of them, so I don't even need to worry about any of those enemies off to the west.
Confirmed termination of Gladiator Dymo signature.
Now, the last one.
And now to take out the final one with extreme prejudice. Why are we even debating this? Come on. Thank you, Kisaragi.
Confirm termination of Gladiator Daimo signature. Aegis activated.
Thanks.
Terminal closure complete.
Unfortunately, it looks like I was right. Those weren't captured Sentinels. These Sentinels' ID codes were all 3 digits. They were newly created as Deimos units.
They were the same type as the number 12 iPilot.
Ida-san was the one who put the first gens together. I just helped out. The auxiliary stuff was from my design, like the EMPs and the anti-air flares. But these things were never meant to have a direct pilot. The original spec had them all automated.
Explains why the enemy got a hold of them.
That also means it's got a more unstable connection to its pilot. We had to put a limiter on its functions.
So, its true power is being restrained? What would happen if that limiter came off?
You'll get a huge boost in maneuverability, but it'll put an incredible strain on the pilot, too.
A small price for new power, and nothing a true son of Japan can't handle. Sounds like it might have its advantages anyway. I'll have to let Sekigahara and Ogata know. Guess we pushed them back.
So yeah, definitely kind of an intense firefight there, but also at the end kind of alluding to the limiter abilities that you can have for the Gen 1s. So they have like a defense mode, but they also have a limiter mode where it removes their limiter. So increased maneuverability like they mentioned, so you can move further, higher attack power, all that great stuff. But it's definitely something I didn't really utilize a whole lot. I feel like it would be substantially better at the higher difficulty levels, because then you can utilize those opportunities that you have. This particular mission, the big thing really was to just have a huge number of high damage potential options. Burst damage is the winning strategy of the day for that particular mission, so just being aware of that. So we've got drum mines coming on this time. Hooray! This particular mission, I'm supposed to bring Hijiyama and Miura and clear it quickly. Let's see if I do that. I may have grabbed a cup of coffee here, which I should probably do in the real world too, but we'll hold off on it. Yeah, you know, those particular gladiator enemies I found to be kind of a really cool option. I thought it was a neat concept, and just like the story progression of it, where they're like, hey, so these aren't actually the captured Sentinels from before. These are new units that they made. And it's already been alluded that they made them in response to what the Sentinel pilots had been doing this time around. So it's really neat how they've tied, once again, that gameplay into the plot. So speaking of plot, what's going to happen now?
They just don't let up.
This seems pretty rough on you, Fuyusaka-san. You okay?
I'm fine. Everyone else is doing their best, so I can keep going.
You need to know when to use your support units. The Guardian types are especially important. They spike the D-Force's threat identification signals. It makes them think it's a high-priority target. They can draw attention away from us as a decoy unit. That can distract the enemy away from us and the terminals. The EMP equipment on the first gens can get us some breathing room too, though it tends to draw their attention instead of diverting it. It can be a risky move. A true soldier faces his foes head-on with pride. I couldn't ask a better chance at glory.
So I may or may not have forgotten to bring Hijiyama along. That's really unfortunate, but really, honestly, Ogata's capabilities versus Hijiyama's capabilities for this particular mission, I don't think is really going to change all that much. It would really just be the difference between, like, Ogata having a substantially improved Demolisher Blade. And I don't think that that is really going to play any kind of tactical factor for this particular fight. Drum mine enemies are annoying. Thankfully, since we're playing on casual, it's not a huge threat, even though they're the modified ones. It's really on the higher difficulty levels, like especially on the hardest difficulty level, where they have substantial enough survivability to have a chance to pull off their attacks. So just some stuff to be aware of there, because you really don't want to go charging directly into them. You kind of want to, yeah, nullify their capabilities, keep them locked down, and then utilize that opportunity to open up a line of attack. Multi-lock missiles, slightly ineffective against the armored ones, but it's still enough damage. Again, +8 is good. And since they're also upgraded, they're going to be faster too. That's something to be aware of. Their maneuverability is substantially improved. So just having the EMPs on standby, having the ability to get that armor-piercing damage through to these guys. This may have been one of the first missions that I actually had to use like shield matrix on when I brought Amaguchi my first time through, because I immediately saw how fast they were and I was like, whoa, hold the phone here. And they're bringing in like aerial support as well, so like you definitely are, it's heavily inferred that you should be using EMP to kind of mitigate their abilities. Still relying on multi-lock missile. Bless. It's good. It's just less good against those guys. Good enough though, I guess. I mean, they all died, am I right? So, not a huge problem. But definitely don't rely upon it on harder difficulty levels. Like, you should use the pulse lasers instead. Or just litter the map with sentry guns, because why not? So we got some Jamolers with another high quad. Almost dead already though. Like, bless sentry guns. So good. There's one twin tail there. Correction, there is no twin tail there. So we got some dudes off in the southeast. We got some waves coming in on the northeast. Though once again, it looks like our just horde of interceptors and sentry guns and just everything under the sun is really thinning out these crowds. Like, it's strikingly effective. Like, that sentry gun might just take it. Yeah, it's gone. So we didn't even need to really send anybody to those threats in the southwest, because all the other things that we had took care of it. That is so many interceptors. So let's add some more interceptors. Seems reasonable. So again, EMP attractor. It's going to do strong work for us here. It's setting us up to have that ability to kind of gauge the battlefield, lock down the drum mines, as well as take out all of those little flying guys that are the weaker ones, those hunters. It's definitely not drill fly. Drill fly is the larger ones. It's no terror carrier though, am I right, boys? Yeah, we know. And we just got more positioning happening, handling the waves as they come in. The drum mines aren't like nearly as daunting to kill as like RPFs or terror carriers or those heftier units. So they're just fast and they try to kill everybody. Am I really gonna do that? I might. Super large missile is not bad here. It's a little overkill. Yeah, in that apparently something else already killed them. That's unfortunate, because that's a hefty expenditure of EP there. Who will? But you know, we've got Minami to back us up as well for Gen 3 support. Again, EMP attractor. Of all the EMP skills, I think that was the one that I personally preferred the most, because I just felt like it was the most effective option. Like, it just always seemed like that was the better choice. And you know what the best choice is? Oh, not missile rain? Okay. I mean, I guess.
Still not used to this thing.
So we was speaking of an RPF. Hey, look. There's one right there. I bet you it makes drum mines. Because wouldn't that just suck? Okay, so we get some extra support in there.
Termination of enemy signals confirmed. Aegis activated. Terminal closure complete. Surrounding 2-kilometer area now fully secure. Ending tactical analysis.
These things just don't stop. How long we gotta keep this up?
If we could activate the Aegis faster, maybe we could mitigate some of our exhaustion as well. Actually, what do we know about this self-defense mechanism?
Universal Control oversees the world through the terminals. But the defense functions refuse to respond when the terminals are under Kaiju attack. The mainframe would go down without even noticing it was compromised.
So when it comes to the Kaiju, the system's paralyzed?
That's one way to put it. And Operation Aegis is about covering for that weakness. The Deimos attacks open up vulnerabilities so they can attack the terminals. We exploit those same vulnerabilities with some low-grade hacking to provoke the terminal's security. And trigger the defenses ourselves. The Aegis system activates, and the terminal locks out the Kaiju intrusion. If the threat of the Deimos is too subtle for detection, then we simply present a more obvious one.
So it's a ruse. Like sounding a fire alarm with no fire to get people bounding out of their bunks. Familiar shenanigans. Isn't that why they used to call you a no-account rascal?
At any rate, that's why we can't activate it until the D-forces are close enough to the terminals. Everyone all right?
A ruse, you might say. Yes, indeed, that's kind of the nature of Operation Aegis. So it's not like they don't want to just be able to activate it and just be like, yo, boom, let's knock out all these kaiju. Way to go, Ogata. Instead, it's more that they have to wait for the kaiju to be in range of the effect of Operation Aegis, and also to basically trick it into working, because the terminals are blind to the kaiju. They do not see the kaiju as a threat, which is a fascinating thing to keep in mind once we start to learn more about the nature of these kaiju and more about the nature of the terminals and what they're accessing, all those various different factors there. But for now, that'll do it for this particular set of waves of kaiju that we're going to destroy and blow up. The drum mines, once again, not terrible. They're just fast. They can do a lot of damage. Just keep them under lockdown. EMP, super great. The Gladiator Kaiju is an exciting new addition to the roster of enemies and presents some really cool challenges for the player. All of these various different abilities that were just super strong, like way early in the game, especially in Area 1, like Demolisher Blade, Multi-Lock Missile, all those like multi-hit attacks that just did lots of small hits that added up to big numbers, get totally nerfed by these Gladiator Kaiju, and that's kind of neat. I like that they present that challenge, that they had that foresight to take that into account, but also to make it thematic. They could have just been like, oh, this enemy has a shield and it negates it. It's like, no, these are Sentinels that were purposed for that specifically. Like, they're Gen 1 Sentinels. Your Gen 1 Sentinels can be built in almost the exact same way. You can also get that ceramic composite armor to mitigate damage from small hits, and make it so that they have leap attack, and make it so that they have counter attack. Like, it's really neat how they combine those things. It's something I really respected about 13 Sentinels. And if you, dear viewer, have been enjoying our playthrough of 13 Sentinels so far, there's a great way to keep up to date with when I release new content by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. That's how technology keeps you in the loop. Apparently. Anyway, thanks for watching as always. I really have enjoyed this playthrough so far, and I'm gonna keep at it for now. But in the meantime, until next time, take it easy.